Hola mis amigos, bienvenido a mi primera video en la lengua español. Eh, mi, my journey to learning it. I I wrote a blog recently about the experience that I've had over approximately 3 years, but more concentrated in the past year, trying to learn Spanish and the difficulties that I faced. One of which is, just like my experience learning French in high school, the primary way that we're taught in school, through books, through pretty much every app you can think of, is not awesome. It's not bad, but it's not awesome. The current let's get it. Let's wait to get into the current way that I subscribe to learning now. The primary way that we used to learn is through vocabulary or learning basic phrases and then going into grammar. It's everything you were taught in school or through a book, learning to say, hello, how are you? What's your name? My name is. All these things. The pencil is yellow is for some reason something very important to say in every language. Or where's the library? ¿Dónde es la biblioteca? Why do we need to know that so much? I'm not sure. There's a lot of people visiting libraries in other countries, I'm assuming. I don't think that is terrible, but I think it's very slow and inefficient. And I am one data point that can say that that's true. I don't think I learned very much in the last 3 years of reading about Spanish, using Duolingo primarily, but also other apps, even Rosetta Stone and one other, Fluent Forever, I believe was the name. And those are primarily giving you pictures or leading you through exercises in different my Zoom is going crazy in the background here. There we go, that's better. Let's lower the brightness too. So I don't think that those are terrible. However, if you want to learn it in a way that's more natural, the current methodology is called comprehensible input. What this means is just similar to the way a baby learns a language. You would read in your target language, you would listen in your target language, and you would attempt to speak in your target language. Do everything you can to be a person in that language. It's the most obvious thing you can think of, yet it's the most effective. So what happened to me? I did all this study. I was the top of the charts of Duolingo. I was on it daily. I never missed a beat. I did everything you could imagine. And maybe it's me. Maybe I am someone who can't learn a language very well. That's possible. Maybe you're someone who did this exact method and it worked for you. And hey, great. But more often than not, I've talked to people who this is not the experience they had. They had the experience that I did, where they struggled to learn until they broke through into another arena. They used Duolingo and they did all this stuff, but it took talking to other people or watching videos or watching movies and reading books before they really felt like they broke through a plateau of understanding that language and being able to comprehend things in that language. And that's what my experience is currently. Let me tell you what happened. I did all this studying. I was on paternity leave, so I really concentrated on a couple goals I had in my paternity leave, and one of them was studying Spanish. And in doing so, I said, okay, it's getting near the end of my paternity leave. I need to test this out. So I looked to get partners that I could talk in Spanish and test this see if the benefits were accumulating. However, what I looked into was what's called a language exchange, which is really great. I highly recommend this. There's a site free to you, which is language.exchange, where you can, it's kind of like a dating app. You look for someone that you want to talk to, primarily someone who is who is native to your language goal, but wants to learn your native language. So in my case, I'm looking for someone who is a native Spanish speaker, but wants to learn English, and therefore they're looking for me as well. And what you do is you spend an hour, and you get to, between the two of you, decide when that happens, and even how, through any sort of social media app or video conferencing, WhatsApp, Zoom, whatever, Teams, whatever you'd like. And you spend that hour, one half in one language totally, and the other half in the other language totally. You don't speak the other language while you're in that one target language. And in this way, you immerse yourself for a half an hour in that other person's language. The guidelines are pretty loose. There's some people that recommend doing things like holding up a picture and having the person with the native language describe what's in the picture and ask questions of their student to see if they comprehend what's going on. And then later, if you're a little more advanced than that, having an actual conversation just simply to practice and see if you can correct simple mistakes you're making. So that's the idea behind those, and I highly recommend them. For me, my first experience doing it was quite simply a disaster. I found a lady in Florida who happened to also be in tech industry, and I thought that would be awesome to be able to speak to someone or have a connection so I could actually learn some of the lingo that's included in like my industry. So if I do want to speak Spanish to someone in my industry, I'll have some of those vocabulary as well. It was just a struggle. In English, obviously, it was great. I'm sure it helped her, but for me, it was terrible. Like I couldn't understand anything, and she was not really willing, I think, to stay with someone so beginner as myself. And I felt like I was imposing my problem on someone else. I'm sure like there's other partners out there that would be more than willing to teach their language at such a basic level. So it was demoralizing in such a way that I nearly quit. I really considered just giving up this goal and moving on to something else, because I mean, why do I really need to learn Spanish? I don't, but it's always been a goal to learn another language. Spanish is honestly the second most prevalent language in the United States, and you're cutting yourself off from talking to quite a lot of people if you don't know it. And I love traveling in South America, so I thought, hey, that's probably a pretty good goal. Now, I almost quit, but what I did end up doing was learning about how people study languages and what the more prevalent or modern thinking is on it, and that's where I came across comprehensive input. I'm forgetting the name, guys. I'll put it in a link below if I can think of it, but the gentleman's name who's a linguist, obviously, came up with the theory that he has and what people are studying now of how to do this. But it's really just simply attempting to immerse yourself. Podcasts, news broadcasts, reading books, and it doesn't matter that you only understand less than 3% of the, or none of the words that you're getting. Just watch a movie. I'm currently watching La Casa de Papel, which is The Money Heist in English. Great movie, or great series rather, on Netflix. But I don't understand half of the conversation. They speak super fast, but I get, every once in a while, I'll get a couple words. I'm like, oh, I know what they said. I know that phrase or something like that. So, especially swear words. But little by little, I've noticed through listening to podcasts. Duolingo has a really cool one. Duolingo Spanish podcast is excellent. I recommend checking that out. There's a YouTuber who I absolutely adore, which is Spanish After Dark, Laura. She's excellent. She speaks completely in Spanish in almost all of her videos. So, but she does it in such a nice, simple way that you can pick up most of what she's saying. And I recommend doing all these things and watching them over and over and over. The same, I must have watched and am still watching Laura read La Libro Rojo, the Red Book, so many times. And my son and I actually watch it at night when he's going to bed. By watching it over and over, you know what she's trying to say, and you can kind of figure out, oh, that word must mean X, just by simple context. Put on the captions below if you feel necessary. It's not totally necessary, but it does help in one way. Your reading skills increase. Your comprehensive in reading goes up dramatically that way. But keep them in your target language. Do not put them in your native language. This will handicap you severely. Do not do that. You will only read your native language, and your brain will not try to figure out what words are being said. So put on the target language as your CC. The other thing is there's a cool app for browsers, which I mentioned in the blog, which is Language Reactor, and it puts a little panel down the side with all the captions, and you can actually click on them and hear what they're saying, or get a translation if you need, and jump to that part of the video so you can go back and watch it again over and over. It's got a lot of cool features to it, and it works with both Netflix and YouTube currently, I believe. I highly recommend that. I also recommend if you're reading books, which I highly recommend because that'll increase your ability to understand those captions at the bottom. That if you like, say it's in a Kindle app, for example, get yourself a bilingual dictionary. And the reason why I'm saying bilingual is for free you get a Spanish dictionary, for example. But if you click on a word, the definition will all be in Spanish, which is great once you're a little further on in your journey. But for right now, you may want to get the English, in my case, translation to it. Therefore, bilingual dictionary will be great. You click on it and it'll show you the Spanish word and the English definitions, and even some key phrases in it, which is awesome. It doesn't cost very much. I think mine was like $5 to $7. But make sure it's not just a translation dictionary like another book. Like there's a special thing. It has to be compatible with the Kindle app and the Kindle devices. So pay attention to that. I can put a link, if I can find it, to the one that I got if you're learning Spanish. That may help you. But so all of this said, the next thing that I did, which I thought was more useful, was getting on italki. Italki is a website to kind of like the language exchange, but for finding tutors in this language that you're learning. And rather inexpensive as well. A lot of the teachers, it's about in the $10 range, I think, on average per hour. So you can spend an hour being taught or just having a conversation, if that's what you're looking for, in a more structured way in your target language. So I found a teacher that I'm enjoying so far. I may try other teachers just to see if there's advantage there, but so far Monica is who I'm with is doing very well in keeping me going, giving me little homework to do and things like that. So I recommend that as well, just to help continue your journey. And with that, I'll try to say some little Spanish. Let's see if I'm going to stop the video and come back after I think of something to tell you in Spanish. Just sort of, I'm doing this sort of as a record, so I can look back on this video and see how far I've progressed when I potentially keep studying. So hopefully in the future when I'm fluent, I can look back on the beginnings and be proud of how far I've come. I hope that's true. Hola, bienvenidos a mi primer video en español. Esta es una gran oportunidad para mí a presento mi progreso para aprender español. Ya no entiendo muchas palabras que escucho o leo, pero esta es mejorando. Yo puedo comprender más de las palabras que escucho y leo, especial entiendo más de las frases y sustantivos de los temas de videos y libros. Espero te encuentras este video interesante y útil. That's it. Gracias por escuchar. Adiós.